Hey friends, so today we're going to be talking about the Pisces New Moon. This is the last new moon of this astrological cycle, and it's conjunct Neptune in Pisces, so Neptune being the ruler of Pisces, as well as Saturn. It's in a loose conjunction with Saturn, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, but also we'll include a bit of the sextile happening. It's a really tight one with Uranus in Taurus. So let's begin with Pisces. Pisces obviously is the last sign of the zodiac, and it invites us to the grand surrender. I always think of Pisces as the Shavasana of the zodiac. So it's the place where we go to let go, to relinquish old cycles and completely release everything that has come before, trusting that what we are meant to receive from the cycle, we will on every level. And as we're moving through this cosmic time, because Pisces is the cosmic dancer, is the cosmic dreamer, is the one who has to space in to space out and feel a oneness with all of reality, we're invited to actually feel and sense, that's a better word, to sense into our connection with all of life. And so here, what cycles have come before that are ready to be surrendered, that are ready to be released so that new ones can be given birth to and can manifest themselves in Aries season? So that's a really good question to ask, and it's a really good time to be completely moving into this process of surrender and letting go. As well, Pisces is the place from which I think of it as like all of life arises from this place. So it's the place from whence all of life expresses itself, and then to which all of life returns. When we're in mode with Pisces, we're invited to actually sit in a place of infinite and complete possibility. I might call this the ocean of infinite consciousness, where all potential lives. The potential for things that are so beautiful and so wondrous and so expansive and so inspiring that our minds may not even believe that they're possible. And of course, a place where all kinds of maybe not so beautiful things live as well. But if we feed those things because we're playing out old cycles, because we're playing out old karmic or epigenetic cycles, then we really forget the opportunity that's ours to live our true nature here in this moment and all the moments moving forward. Pisces wants us to tap into that limitless potential, because we know if we're not doing some kind of transformative experience or process or alchemical process that invites us to get to the core, get to the roots of some of the karmic and epigenetic patterns that we have brought in to see fully, to understand fully, and to relinquish fully. And I don't want to say transcend, but in a way to transcend once we have chewed them up and digested them and moved them out of our experience, then we have access to our infinite potential. And that's super important, because Pisces wants us to go to that place of infinite potential. It wants us to know who we actually are in our heart of hearts, at our core, this place that is our universal self, and how our unique and authentic individuality is an expression of our universal selfness. Okay, so it's important during this time that we allow ourselves to really bask and sit in this place of infinite potential. I often think of it, so my favorite tea is jasmine pearl tea. And so I often think of it as taking the time, when you ever made jasmine tea, okay? You're gonna boil the water, but not too hot so you don't burn the leaves. But once the water is at the perfect temperature, you pour it over the tea pearls, and eventually they open up really beautifully. And all of the water, of course, becomes infused with their essence, the essence of the jasmine tea. And obviously, if you love tea, you can take this metaphor with all the teas. Now, what we want to do, if you could think about the water as the cosmic soup or the cosmic tea of reality, and we are the little tea pearls, during a Piscean time, it becomes really important that we steep ourselves in the formless place, that we allow ourselves to really steep in the essence of reality. And interestingly, the essence of reality is deep within us, but it's also all around us if we allow ourselves to perceive of it. And so all of the spirit practices that we have access to become important here. And of course, I think it's really important to spend time with the practices that feed us most on this deep soul level. So if that means meditation, good. Pisces is the meditator. Pisces is the yogi. If that means steering off into a full moon night, obviously that's not right now because we're at the new moon. But if that's what that means, that's meditation of a sort, right? If it means watching a sunrise or a sunset and just being in awe, there are so many different ways that we can sync ourselves up with the bigger flow of life, which is Pisces. And so during a Pisces new moon, doing this becomes even more important. But if you've got Pisces in your chart natally, or if your sun or moon have progressed into Pisces or the 12th house, or if your progressed sun is conjunct your natal Neptune, something like that, it's so important that you spend time in this realm, steeping yourself in the magic of the universe on a regular basis, and that you make it your own. Whatever this means to you, you make that practice and that process your own, because it's then that you can tap into the infinite potential of reality and how it wants to move and breathe and be as you. Because of course we are all unique and authentic expressions of the whole of this one big energy that animates everything. So during this time, what do you want to do to feel the magic that is your birthright, and to tap into all of the unique possibilities that are here, present inside of you in this very moment and in each moment? And how do you feed those things? How do you connect with them? How do you nourish them? How do you feed them? And then how do you bring them to life? Although we don't have to bring them to life quite yet, because the cycle will, of course, rebirth itself at the spring equinox. Now, let's talk a little bit about Neptune. Neptune, as Pisces' modern ruler, is Poseidon, okay? So the king of the ocean, and not like Nimbus in Rick and Morty at all. Although that's a fun version, he's more, again, inviting us into this ocean of infinite possibility that is our innate nature. Now, if we go into shadow Neptunian and Piscean places, we will simply just want to escape in order to make this connection, and it won't be the most clear connection possible. So maybe we're like, oh, I'm just going to get really stoned or drink too much alcohol or watch too much tube or whatever it is, you name it. Pisces and Neptune can both go there because they feel with such in such a transpersonal way. They feel everything. So what my teacher Stephen would say is that half of what a Pisces feels in their lifetime is not their own. And so Pisces and Neptunian characters are so open to bigger reality that sometimes it becomes hard to tune that stuff out and to get really clear on what is theirs, truly, how the universe wants to move in them, because it can feel how the universe wants to move in everyone. That's why spirit practice on some level is really important, so we don't take this energy to the shadow side of the spectrum from an evolutionary perspective, which is escapism. Okay, but healthy Neptune again invites us to merge with bigger reality, to go into those places where we are connecting with the spirit that moves in all things, where we're connecting with the Shakti, the animating force of the universe that lives in every single one of us, again, in unique and beautiful ways. So we're just getting more of that same Piscean energy with Neptune sitting on the new moon. However, when we get over to Saturn, now that's a looser conjunction. It's either 8.5, 9 degrees, something like that. And Saturn, which, Saturn has about 3 years in each sign. Saturn in Pisces, and it moved there about a year ago. Saturn wants us to get real, always. Saturn's like, okay, what are the things, what are the behaviors, what are the habits that you have been participating in that you've outgrown? Because if you're still doing those things, I'm coming and I am going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to help you integrate this lesson. Now, it's always our choice as to whether or not we integrate a lesson. We can always choose to not. That's our birthright, and we're born with sovereignty and freedom, right? And this process is about reclaiming that freedom. But Saturn will say, okay, so if you're still participating in habits and practices in things that aren't really working for you, I'm gonna come and show you maybe another way to do things. It might not be the most fun lesson when Saturn is involved, but also he wants us to get it together. As we'd say in Tantra, get your Chit together. He wants us to get our consciousness together and get really clear about how we're spending our time, our energy, and our attention, and to actually have a healthy boundary when it comes to the practices that connect us with bigger reality. Because if we associate, let's say, unhealthy behaviors and escapism with spiritual practice, he's going to be like, that's not real, that's not ideal, that's not what I want from you. You can do better than that. Because if you spend time sitting with the divine, or whatever that means to you, sitting with the magic that is reality and your innate reality, and you're not needing anything outside of yourself to get there, there is going to be something really palpable and real and potent that you connect with. And when you're tapping into the ineffable in that way, it never leaves you. Now, we could argue that, sometimes we need tools, sometimes we need things to help us connect with bigger reality, but ultimately, we're just doing that to draw out a part of our experience that's always already been there. And Saturn wants us to get real about that. He wants us to get clear about that. He wants us to be boundaried in healthy ways that allow us to remember who we are at our core, our innate nature. Okay? Now, let's talk about Uranus, which is, and I'll say, let me back up on that. I will say, so what are some of the behaviors and the habits that you've outgrown that you're still participating in? And what are you being asked, again, here to get clear on? How can you create healthier boundaries to connect with your practices and the things that really plug you in to the motherboard? that is inside of you and all around you. Okay. Now, Uranus in Taurus. So this is a really tight, like within a degree and a half sextile, 60-degree angle. So sextiles are when things are, they excite each other. Okay, so the energies excite each other. And Pisces and Taurus, I mean, I love this. Taurus needs nature, and it needs to be outside, and it needs to connect with its physical body. It is the most primal earth sign of the zodiac. It's the first earth sign of the zodiac. So it wants us to feel this connection, yes, with the spirit that moves in all things, okay, that's Pisces, but also with nature, with life. And when we're spending time connecting with our bodies, moving our bodies, connecting with Mama Pachamama, Mother Nature, Taurus is going to feel serene, stable, secure, connected, well-resourced. That's a really good word. And so Uranus it's an energy that is always going to be changing things on some level. Uranus invites us to what's most authentic in our own experiences. Okay, so this is helpful for the Pisces who's like, oh, I feel everybody's experience, like, oh, I don't know who I am and what I want. And Uranus is sextiling this new moon, and it's like, okay, but like feel your feet on the earth. Although where I am, I would not put my bare feet on the earth, but you get what I'm saying. Feel your connection to nature, the fresh air, the sun on your skin. If you can't do that right now, you can at least get one of those things. Go out into the forest, even if there's snow all over the ground, and just feel what is your most authentic self. That's really important, because Taurus wants us to go to those places that help us to feel enlivened by nature, all the forces of nature, so that we can tune in to bigger reality. So if we're having a hard time being like, the Pisces part, then we just plug in to Mama Earth. We plug in to the sun. We look at the clouds. We listen to the animals. We connect with our animals. We connect with our plants. We connect with all of the things that bring aliveness to us, into our hearts, into our minds, into our bodies, into our lives. And then we feel, yeah, this is so helpful in my ability to connect with something much greater than myself. So Taurus brings us to nature and to life in this way. And Pisces brings us to this bigger, more expansive reality. It's numinous. It's so beyond what our mind on its own would ever comprehend. And I love how the Taurian piece actually invites us into our bodies, because when we connect with our bodies in a really healthy way, whether it's through simple walking or Tai Chi, Qigong, lots of yoga, whenever we do something like that, it's the mind calms and it kind of drops away, or it drops down into a deeper space of the heart, so that we can expand out energetically to bigger reality. So during this Pisces new moon time, we've covered a few things. What are the things that you're participating in, practices and processes that are really allowing you to feel the magic that is your innate nature, and this sense of connection with the ineffable, with the numinous, with that part of yourself and reality that is inherently intelligent, your true self? And then, what are the things that are ready? So have you been in a process for the last year, for the last few years, for the last decade, that you're ready to relinquish, that you're ready to surrender? What needs to be released in order for you to move forward into the next cycle in a healthy and clear way? Which boundaries can you create in your life so that your practice becomes a mainstay, so that it is something that you value and honor enough to do on a regular basis, daily or almost daily, and which aspects of nature and connecting with your body allow you to feel really plugged in to what's most authentic in you, your own internal guidance system, your own inner compass. And how does that allow you to, again, over and over again, pulse in and out? That's called the spanda. Okay, so you draw into yourself to get really clear and authentic, get connected to what's most authentic, so that you can expand back out into this really spacious place that takes you beyond that. And you catch some glimmers, and then you come back in, and then expand back out over and over again. So I hope you have an amazing new moon time, remembering that, again, this is the last one before we begin with a big eclipse cycle soon in the Aries Libra axis time, and a big release. It's a time of big release and big opening, and I'm wishing you many blessings as we move